Hey, if you're running a small or medium-sized business here in Jamaica, a retail shop, an accounting firm, a doctor's office, anything at all, this is for you. We're about to talk about cybersecurity, but probably not in the way you're used to. We're going to get right to the very first move almost every attacker makes. So, how does this all really begin? We all have this picture in our heads, right? Some brilliant hacker in a dark room, laser focused on your business. But honestly, for the vast majority of businesses in Jamaica, that's not how the story starts at all. The reality? It starts way, way more simply, and a whole lot more randomly. It kicks off with an automated, totally impersonal knock on your digital front door. It's a process that's running 24/7, all across the internet, just looking for an easy way in. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on exactly what that is. Okay, so let's really get into what this unseen digital knock is all about. The technical term for it is active scanning, and I'm telling you, understanding this one concept is the absolute biggest first step you can take to protect your business. Here's the most important thing to get. Active scanning is basically attackers sending out these little digital feelers, kind of like a sonar pinging everything connected to the internet. They are not looking for your business by name. They're just searching for any signal that a system is online, open to the public, set up wrong, or running old software. And what are they pinging? Well, they're looking at the exact things your business depends on every single day. We're talking about that office router your ISP gave you, your website and your point of sale system, any cloud storage you're using for your files, and a really big one, whatever you use for remote access. And this right here is why a typical Jamaican business can be a total goldmine for these scanners. So many of us are using the standard routers our internet providers handed out. We often don't change the default passwords, and maybe our website has a plugin or two that hasn't been updated in a while. To an automated scanner, that's like a big flashing neon sign that says, hey, the door over here might be unlocked. But look, this isn't just some theory. This is happening right here, right now in Jamaica. So let's talk about some real local incidents where this digital knock got answered, and the consequences were serious. Now, you're going to recognize these names. Back in 2021, we had the big Jam COVID data exposure. Then, in 2022, the huge ransomware attack on Digicel. But that third one on the list is just as important, the constant, ongoing, and totally unreported breaches that are hitting small businesses just like yours, week in and week out. Let's just zoom in on that Jam COVID incident for a second. You gotta understand, this wasn't some incredibly complex spy movie hack. It happened because of a simple misconfiguration that was just sitting there, waiting to be found by a basic scan. The attack path was textbook. Scanning found the opening, an attacker discovered it, and then they abused it. They didn't even need a sophisticated virus to do it. So what about something way more serious, like the ransomware that hit Digicel? These massive criminal groups, they don't just get lucky. No way. They operate like a business. And step one is always reconnaissance. They scan and scan and scan, relentlessly looking for any exposed entry point. They find the unlocked door first, and only then do they bother bringing in the heavy equipment. And this right here, this is the silent threat. See, when a huge company gets hit, it's all over the headlines. But when a small accounting firm in Kingston gets locked out of all their files, or a little shop in Mobay has all its customer data stolen, it never makes the news. But look at the chart. The attack method is identical. It starts with active scanning. The outcome is just quieter. But for that business owner, it's every bit as devastating. If there is one image I want you to remember from all of this, it's this one. Automated scanning is just like a digital burglar walking down a very, very long street late at night and just methodically trying every single car door handle. They aren't targeting your car specifically, they're just looking for any unlocked handle. It's a pure numbers game. All right, that's the problem. Enough of the scary stuff. Let's pivot to the solution, because the good news is you can absolutely defend against this. So let's talk about your digital defense plan and how you can go and firmly lock that digital door. And here it is, a simple 6-step plan. And listen, this is not about spending a fortune on fancy software. It's about taking smart, basic actions. Locking down your router, shrinking what the public can see, protecting your website, turning on some basic alerts, securing your cloud files, and just getting a simple checkup. Let's start with the absolute biggest one, your internet router. That before column? That's the default high-risk state most people are in. The after column is where you want to be. And look how simple it is. Change that default password, turn off remote management. That's the thing that lets anyone on the internet try to log in, and check for firmware update. Those three things alone will stop a huge number of attacks. This right here, this is the question I want you to get obsessed with. Look at every single service you have online and ask yourself, does this really truly need to be accessible from anywhere in the world? If the answer is no, then take it offline, or at the very least, stick it behind a secure connection like a VPN. Being quiet beats having fancy security every single time. You know, the great thing about these automated scans is that they aren't invisible. They're actually pretty noisy. They leave behind a digital trail. If you just enable the basic logs on your firewall or your website, you can see the proof. You'll see things like hundreds of failed login attempts from one place or constant pings for weird file names. That is your early warning system that someone is rattling your doorknob. So, what does this all add up to? It brings us to the core strategy. This isn't about buying more and more security gadgets. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset, a new way of thinking about how you show up in the digital world. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. In today's world, the businesses that survive a cyber attack aren't always the biggest or the ones with the most expensive firewalls. They're the quietest ones. They're the ones that simply don't answer when the scanners come knocking. So at the end of the day, your goal isn't to be unhackable. That's impossible. Your goal is much simpler. Just be a less attractive, more difficult target than the business next door. It's all about shrinking your digital footprint and systematically getting rid of all those easy, obvious wins for the automated attackers. And that's what I want to leave you with. One last critical question that I really want you to ask yourself the second this is over. After everything we've just talked about, is your digital door locked and bolted, or is it just sitting there, wide open, waiting for that next automated knock?
Thank you for watching. In our next video, we'll break down how adversaries gather victim host information, one of the 11 core reconnaissance techniques attackers use before a breach ever happens. If you have questions, insights, or want to see how this applies to your organization, drop a comment below, visit us at gtsja.com, or email info@gtsja.com. I'm Alice from Guardian Technological Solutions, where we create, provide, and protect. Stay informed. We'll see you in the next one.